The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. And if you miss an episode, you can catch me on Apple or Spotify at the Main Street Code. And when we talk about code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. That's our acronym. We're going to talk a lot about that. Now, we work with hundreds of advisors across the United States, accountants, accountants, attorneys, other investment advisors. We're an independent insurance wholesale operation representing over 30 different non-biased insurance companies. And my opinions and views of how I help people is completely non-biased. I'm not paid for any insurance company. I don't get a salary from any insurance company. And that's how we work. And I want to go into our code. When we talk about choice, choice means direction, not just choice of products, but direction, how we're going to go. There's many ways of doing things. There's many different paths we can take, and I think having that flexibility and knowledge gives you that choice that you need and help guide you in the right direction. And then we talk about organization, and organization is so important, especially if you have a small business, or even if you're just, over your lifetime, you accumulate different things. If you have a small business, you have business issues and things to worry about. So sometimes getting everything down on a piece of paper and analyzing it from the whole and organizing all your stuff, and actually you may find things that you have that you didn't consider an asset or haven't thought about, or may know what you would like as far as disposition or something. So organization is so vital that I think it's so important. And then direction. Once we get everything organized and we know where the pieces are, we try and give you direction to put those puzzle pieces together into a coordinated plan. And every plan is individual to you or your business or your family or all the above. So that's why we integrate all these things. And the education part is huge. Because again, we don't charge when we sit down and talk to you. What we do is we help you with all these different areas. We help you with some direction, organize your assets, give you some direction, and then some education to help you implement a plan. And I don't get paid unless you implement your plan. That's how I get paid. I get paid two ways. One, if you implement a plan with me and you buy product from me, I get commissions. It doesn't come out of your pocket like advisory fees or anything else. That's A. And B, I thrive on being referred to your friends, relatives, business associates, and other people. And by spreading the word, that's my compensation. And what I love about what I do is I help people. And that's why I love my profession, is I love helping people. It's very gratifying to me. And I'm not a doctor. I can't fix you with medicine. But financially, I can put you on the right course and set you on the right path and help you coordinate everything. Now, in many shows, we've talked about annuities, and I want to go a little bit more in depth today about some of the instruments that are out there. with all the political unrest and everything going on, there's a lot of noise, and sometimes you just want to, turn the noise off and focus on you. If I could say anything today, my big word of advice is focus on your stuff and moving forward. Now, a lot of people will buy CDs. So a bank offers a CD or a certificate of deposit, and let me just tell you how they work. Basically, when a bank needs to raise capital, it's not entirely reflective on the current interest rates. It is and it isn't. So if interest rates are really high, like the borrowing rate from banks is very high right now, they're going to issue CDs to collect money. Because what they do is they collect your money in that CD and they loan it out to other people. So they make a fortune when you make deposits in CDs because they're loaning it out 10 times. The credit card people, to this, to that. What happened last year was a very interesting phenomenon because we were in such a low interest rate environment, it's probably like the last 2 years, that the banks had given all these long-term mortgages at 2.5% and 3%, and they committed all this money at low interest rate environments, and their borrowing rate is higher than that now. So rather than borrow the money from the government or do what they do because the bond rates went up, they'll offer these high rates to collect money to service their profits and debt so they can loan it out at even higher rates. That's how a bank works. Now, if you buy a CD, and you can buy them 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, one of the things that people don't realize, let's say you buy a 5% CD, and it's a 5-year CD. Well, if you're in a 30% tax bracket, that's federal and state taxes, you have to pay tax on that interest every year. So, if I have $100,000 and I have a 5% CD, and it goes for 5 years, I only make $3,500 the first year. With 35, how does that work? So I make 5% on 100,000. That would be 5,000. But if I take out 30%, that's really about $1,500. So I've really only made $3,500. And then the following year, my net in that account is really working. I'm not making, it's not compounding, it's depreciating because it's paying the taxes every year. Now, a lot of people now are buying T-bills. T-bills are very short-term instruments. I think right now the 2 years paying 4.2%. So at a 4.2%, it's liquid, unlike a CD. It's safe money. But then again, what happens after 2 years? I got to keep renewing that T-bill. So when I keep renewing, I don't know what the rate is. And the problem is with CDs and T-bills and money markets, it's short-term money most of the time. So what people don't realize is, especially, I try and look at a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year view, 5-year view, and say 5 or 10 years down the road, I don't know where interest rates are going. I never anticipate, nobody did 2-3 years ago, that interest rates on mortgages would go from 2.5 to 8, now 7, 6.5, 7, 7.5. I mean, yeah, back when I bought my first house, this is where the rates were. Actually, they were higher. But then again, in the last 10 years, we haven't seen this. Now the interest rate, so all the markets are aflux because of this. You keep hearing about inflation and interest rate. I mean, this all ties in. So fixed annuities now have been absolutely another great source of safe money deposits. So instead of a CD, you get a 5% annuity for 5 years. You're not paying taxes on it until you take the income out. So year one will go to $105,000, and then it compounds on that. Then you go to 112 because you're basing it off 1.5. You have compounding interest, and that keeps compounding until you decide when you want to take taxes out. So that's a big difference in that instrument. And right now, we still have 5% annuities for 5 years, and we have some annuities that will even give you a bonus of 5%, and they're paying like 8.9 first year. and are guaranteed never to go below 3%, and you could keep putting money in, and you have the flexibility of taking 10% out a year, and we're doing a lot with that type of annuity. And you can also buy fixed annuities in, like I say, an index account. So you can actually track the market if you think the market's going up, but it has a floor of 0, and you can get as high as, let's say, 975 right now. And with actually, you keep the money in long enough, they'll guarantee you at least 3%. Very good alternatives now to fixed money. So if you're worried about the market and you're worried about different things and the political environment, as I am, then you'll look at some of these fixed interest alternatives like annuities. So you're listening to the Main Street Code Financial Success. And by the way, annuities give you a guaranteed rate of return, a guaranteed income they can give you as well. So we'll be right back after a quick break. You're listening to the Main Street Code. If you want to get a hold of me, 631-647-4694, and I'll be right back after a commercial break. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. Before the break, we were talking about annuities, and I read a very interesting article this week from Mark Cuban, who said that if you win the lottery, you are much better off taking the payments and by percentage than you are taking the lump sum. And the biggest mistake people take, they go, oh, well, I won $10 million, and they blow the money. You're much better having that guaranteed income stream, and that's an annuity that the government offers you if you win a lottery. And he statistically laid it out in this whole article about why you should buy that income. You can always invest that income if it's over and above your thing. You're not locked in, but you take that lump sum and you pay the taxes. It is not a bargain. So this is why people buy annuities, so they guarantee your income for life. In various ways. There's another investment out there that we talk about, and I want to talk about as an investment, and life insurance has this unique qualities to it, that life insurance is so protected from the government, from taxation, that it's just a home run. So essentially, if you fund a life insurance policy properly, especially over, a period of time, you can have all that money grow tax deferred, just like an annuity, just like your IRAs, just like anything else. You have a death benefit, unlike an IRA, unlike a Roth IRA, unlike anything else. You have a tax-free death benefit that goes to your beneficiaries while you're accumulating this money. And then you take the money out tax-free down the road. No 1099s, no IRS requirements. We have a lot of people right now that are real estate investors. They put a lot of money into this, and then they want to borrow money off of it to buy a home or to flip a house. They buy it, they flip a house, they put the money back in. They don't have to fill out any forms. They just make a request, give me some of my money. They're borrowing it from themselves. They're using themselves as their own bank at much lower interest rates than the bank's charging, and they don't have to pay it back every month. They pay it back when they feel like paying it back, as long as they keep their policy in force. Now, there is a cost to it, and that's called the cost of insurance. That death benefit's a cost. So what we do is we actually set it up so that we keep the cost down low by keeping the face amount or the death benefit as low as possible, as low as the IRS will let us, to accumulate that money in this tax-sheltered environment. And by the way, it's credit shelter proof. Nobody can get to that money when you put into a life insurance policy. Very, very powerful tool for tax-free investing. So I've given you some options on annuities, life insurance, CDs, T-bills. We've talked about a lot of different ways of investing, but part of the idea is, how do I maximize my money? Because my biggest partner is the IRS. And if I can protect my income and assets from the IRS and use it for myself and or my beneficiaries, that's the name of the game. And that's part of the whole planning process. So that is a big deal with annuities and everything else. I also want to talk about the new rules on what they call beneficial IRAs, inherited IRAs. I just got off the phone from a call from an accountant. Actually, I'm sorry, he wasn't an accountant. He was an executor of an estate. And his best friend, young age, passed away. And he's the executor for the son. And he had a large IRA. And they haven't taken any distributions out. And he called me in a panic. And he said, he died 2 years ago. And we got to take all this money out in the next 8 years on a young kid. And I'm like, or I think it's a teenager. And I said, okay, well, that's called a beneficial IRA. The new rules say that you have to take that money out within 10 years. Now, you can alter how you take it out, but for an 18-year-old to take out large sums of money may or may not be the right time in his life to be taking it out. But that's, so if you have an IRA, a 401k, or any of these instruments, know that having your child or nephew as a beneficiary could be a tax burden on them. It could be burdensome. If they have special needs or something else, then you could actually kick them off the government programs because you're forcing money that they have to take, and they have to take it out within 10 years. Some other clients we worked with this week that I have a group of people that are all around in their 60s and 65, and they've all done very well with their 401k. They've worked with a very stable company. They've been contributing. And some of these people at 60, 65, they have $1.5 million in their 401k. $1.5 million, $2 million, like huge sums of money. And I go, what are you doing? Well, they're still contributing, and that's like their main asset. That's what they're going to retire on, everything else. Well, they're going to have to pay taxes on all that money. So one of my suggestions is to them, and if your company doesn't have that, give us a call, because companies have this allowable. I can work with the company to make this happen. Is, you know what, you've saved enough. Now you still want to take care of company contributions. You can actually do a Roth 401k within your program. I mean, your program has to allow it. But the IRS has allowed people to go a Roth 401k. Now, what's the difference? The difference is, and especially some of these people are 65, 60, the company may not be paying them as much. Maybe they're working 3 and 4 days a week now, but they're still working, but they're not accumulating as much money. So my suggestion is, why don't you, on all future contributions, put in a Roth 401k? So the company still contributes money. It's all after-tax money. But now at retirement, I can use this tax-free if it comes out of a Roth, because I'm using after-tax money. So the Roth 401k is a great tool that very few people utilize, and especially if you've been accumulating assets, and this is like the big savings plan you got, you don't want it all to be taxed when you retire, because that's going to be detrimental. That money will disappear very quickly. Because the myth was, I'm going to retire in a lower tax bracket. Who do you know that's retired in a lower tax bracket? You think the taxes are going to be lower in 10 years after all this money the government's spending? 5 years? 20 years when you retire? No, to be quite the opposite. That's what the government's been telling us. But truthfully, we may not be in a lower tax bracket. And you start taking all that taxable money, Social Security, when you fill out your Medicare and you do your Medicare Part B, they charge you something called IRMA, which is on your earnings. It's IRMA. And you could actually be paying triple for Medicare Part B when you think, oh, I'm on Medicare. I got this cheap insurance. This is great, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you're spending $500-$600 a month for your Medicare Part B, when if you were taking the money out from life insurance and even a Roth IRA, you're not having to claim that as income. So you don't have to pay all those extra expenses, as well as pay taxes on every dollar you touch. Accountants want you to defer, but at some point you have to figure out, we like to put clients on a spending plan, not a savings plan, but you're at retirement, let's go on a spending plan. I don't want to budget you, but I want to figure out, how do we spend our money best? Do we spend it, we use our taxable money first, our tax-free money, Wouldn't it be great to have both? Wouldn't it be great to have the choice? They're taking taxable money, tax-free money. I can gauge it every year and play with it. Tax diversification in investing is as important as asset diversification. Everybody, all these financial guys talk about diversify your assets. I believe in that. You want to be in multiple places at the same time. At the same time, diversify your tax classes. Diversify how much taxes you're paying now and how much taxes you're going to pay later. And that's all part of the planning process. And the products that we engage in all come into play onto how we're being taxed and how much money we can have and keep for ourselves and how much money we can pass on to our heirs. So not only for ourselves and our living, how much we can pass on to our heirs may be just as important as a legacy. And we don't want to cripple them with our bills, nor cripple them with having to take out money that they have to pay huge taxes on when they least can afford it. You've been listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. If you need to reach me, the best way, 631-647-4694. Happy July 4th, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.